Timeless Heroes, a superhero audio project. Part 3. The Secret. Some minutes later, Jason and Jimmy arrive at the warehouse. They get out of Jimmy's old city car. Kenny follows them and the two look around the area. It looks deserted, the entrance to the warehouse unguarded. They cautiously approach the entrance gate. The side door is locked with an electronic lock. Jason pulls out a small electronic device, pins it to the door lock, and after 3 seconds, it beeps briefly. The door opens. After Jason puts the device away, Jason and Jimmy, along with Kenny, carefully enter the warehouse. In the warehouse, they find a huge laboratory. In addition to shelves full of various reagents, a large work table, and various strange apparatus, Dr. Morden can be seen. He is working on an abnormality while talking to himself. But it is a bit bigger than the known one. Apparently this creature, which is about 1.40 meters tall, is attached to a cot and seems to have had a new spiked arm transplanted. Dr. Morden does not notice Jason and Jimmy. The two go equally unnoticed by 4 guards sitting at a table. They are dressed like butlers. Very dapper, but with white masks and firearms. 2 are playing cards with each other, while the other 2 butlers are dozing on a bench. In the background is an even considerably larger so-called mega abnormality chained up. This monstrosity is over 2.5 meters tall and additionally scaled. At the sight of the creature, Kenny growls, and Morden notices the 2. He turns to the mega abnormality to let it off the leash.
Hey, you bums!
The 2 card-playing butlers stand up facing in the direction of Jason and Jimmy. Both attempt to escape, but are intercepted and halted by the 2 butlers. Nonetheless, Kenny manages to bite one of the butlers in the leg, causing him to release Jason. Concurrently, Jimmy seizes the vulnerable areas of his assaulter with a firm grasp. With their captors momentarily incapacitated, they both manage to get away. Amidst this chaos, the doctor, who is still in the middle of unleashing the mega abnormality, summons the other 2 butlers, who have just been awakened by the commotion.
Go, catch the 2 bastards!
Jason and Kenny run to the exit. Suddenly, they hear a voice.
Duck down!
They both slide out on their knees, and Bera appears at the door. She has a huge axe with her, which she slams on the floor as hard as she can. Both guards are thrown backwards by the shockwave. The doctor abandons his plan to enchain the mega abnormality and disappears with the other 2 guards towards the rear exit. Bera sees Dr. Morden and tries to follow him, but is called outside by Thunder.
Come on, Bera. We will follow them in the car.
Bera turns and runs out. An SUV jumps sideways onto the road and speeds away. It is the doctor and 2 of his butlers. In the back of the SUV is apparently another abnormality of average size.
Get in.
Thunder takes off with Bera in the convertible in pursuit of the doctor. Jason and Jimmy want to follow them. Jason looks at Jimmy questioningly.
Should we go after them?
Hell yeah!
They both get into Jimmy's city car with Kenny and follow the SUV and the convertible with squealing tires. On the road, Thunder is catching up with the SUV. The abnormality on the back of the SUV tries to hit the car with her spiked weapon. Thunder, however, dodges with zigzagging. It is all too fast for Bera. She is torn between warlike bravery and fear of modern technology. But she overcomes herself and gets out of the vehicle and jumps onto the hood.
What the fuck?
Pull over closer.
Thunder gets closer and closer to Dr. Morden's SUV and rams it from behind. Bera then throws her axe at the moving vehicle, hitting the right tire. The SUV's rear end jumps and flips over, but Thunder reacts directly and slams on the brake. Bera is being catapulted out of the car while she hits the SUV in midair. She jumps directly over the car, flying forward, and lands on her legs with the axe in her hand. At the same time, the car lands on the roof and slowly comes to a stop with a slide. Thunder runs to the scene.
I hope nothing happened to the doctor.
I'm fine, thanks.
Thunder blasts open the car door with a charge of energy that shoots out of her fingers like tiny lightning bolts. The doctor's head is bleeding. The two guards and the abnormality are unconscious.
What do you want from me? Who are you?
What? He doesn't know me? Idiot.
You're coming with me to see Mr. O'Brien.
Later in the afternoon, Dr. Morden is sitting in a blue, silver, and futuristic-looking room. Also in the room are Bera and Thunder. O'Brien and Jason enter. O'Brien sits down at the table.
Thank you very much. Please, leave the room and wait outside.
Everyone walks out the front door.
Good afternoon, Dr. Morden. It's been a long time.
Yes, a very long time, Mr. O'Brien.
Meanwhile, two butlers are standing in the White Room. The White Lady's watching the news on the tablet. A newscaster is reporting on a traffic accident, and Dr. Morden's wrecked SUV can be seen. The White Lady sends out the two butlers who are present.
Get the limousine, we drive to Wolf Enterprises.
In the interrogation room, O'Brien and Morden sit across from each other. Both remain quiet until Dr. Morden breaks the silence. He takes a pack of cigarettes from his breast pocket.
May I?
O'Brien nods.
Tell me, what drives you to do such a thing?
Interesting question. I would say you are a highly gifted handler.
I'll pass on the compliment. But you weren't brought here just for a chat or to reminisce about the good old days. You're working on something.
Morden nods and puts the cigarette he's dug out into his mouth.
It's something big, right? It has something to do with my father's experiments.
In a way, yes, but I have to say your father's results were just the starting point. The real masterpiece for further development was mine.
Dr. Morden lights a cigarette with a lighter from a cigarette pack.
Yes, I can sense your arrogance. For a moment, please be a decent rogue and reveal your master plan. Would you, Dr. Morden?
You wouldn't believe how much I would like to do that. But there are people who don't want that.
Dr. Morden exhales the first puff of his cigarette.
Then just tell me what you're going to do with the artifact. Do you want to go back in time? To the future? What is it?
Future, past. Believe me, the White Lady has clearly bigger things in mind.
The White Lady?
Dr. Morden feels he has spilled the truth. O'Brien looks intensely at Dr. Morden, then he finally gets it, and O'Brien abruptly turns into a shade of red. Suddenly, Dr. Morden feels like he is seeing O'Brien twice, but the two images vibrate in another. O'Brien uses the power of the minimal leap in time. Dr. Morden is sitting with the cigarette in his mouth and is about to light it.
So, what's your master plan?
You wouldn't believe how much I would like to tell you, but there are people who don't want me to.
The White Lady.
Dr. Morden is surprised and chokes as he inhales the first puff of his cigarette and begins to cough. How do you know that?
I know more than you think I do. So, let's continue, shall we?
In the meanwhile, Bera and Thunder are standing outside the interrogation room. Jason is just leaving with his dog Kenny to go for a walk.
But only for a little while, Kenny. You always have to pee when things get exciting.
Thunder gets bored and looks around the room and seems to ignore Bera.
What's your problem?
What's my problem? I'm sitting here waiting for nothing. I have signed contracts. If I keep wasting my time here, another young girl will come and take my parts away.
You don't like me.
What makes you think that? I always pick you up. It would benefit you if you become more independent.
I love being around people. I had a big family and many friends back then.
Yeah. To be honest, I can't relate to you. Fine. You work for O'Brien and you have your power. But in terms of human, not really.
Was Mara Sander ever loved?
Love? That's nobody's business. And definitely not yours. I have to go to the bathroom. So I just say one thing to wrap up this conversation. If everyone would take care of themselves, everyone would be taken care of.
Thunder walks towards the restroom. Bera shakes her head and looks after her. At this moment, a white limousine pulls up and stops in front of the Wolf Enterprises building. 5 butlers get out, including the 2 who were to get the limousine, with one holding the door open for the white lady. The 6 enter the building with the white lady striding ahead. They walk straight to the elevator and get in. O'Brien and Dr. Morden are still sitting across from each other in the interrogation room. Dr. Morden's cigarette is almost smoked out and there's an ashtray in front of him with ash in it.
What do you plan to do with the artifact?
The white lady can tell you herself.
Oh, she will when I'm done with you. Where do I find her?
You'll never find her until we open the gate.
Dr. Morden puts out a cigarette in the ashtray. O'Brien looks at Dr. Morden and it begins to flicker around O'Brien and he suddenly turns into a shade of red. Again, Dr. Morden sees O'Brien twice and the 2 images vibrate in another. Dr. Morden has the stub of the cigarette in his mouth again, which has not yet been put out in the ashtray.
You want to open a gate with the artifact. Not to the past and not to the future.
Exactly.
Tell me, is it a gateway into the 4th dimension?
Dr. Morden is silent.
How are they going to activate the dimensional gate using the artifact?
Dr. Morden continues to be silent and stubs out a cigarette butt in the ashtray. O'Brien looks at Dr. Morden and again it begins to flicker around O'Brien and he suddenly turns into a shade of red. Again, Dr. Morden sees O'Brien twice and the 2 images vibrate into each other. Dr. Morden has the stub of the cigarette in his mouth.
The artifact is used to open dimensional gates. What does the White Lady hope to achieve by using it?
As it is always with gates. Either you want to send something through,
or you want to get something out of it. I see. How are you going to activate the artifact?
I'm not going to tell you that.
Dr. Morden stubs out a cigarette butt in the ashtray. O'Brien looks at Dr. Morden, and again it begins to flicker around O'Brien, and he suddenly turns into a shade of red. Again, Dr. Morden sees O'Brien twice, and the 2 images vibrate into each other. Dr. Morden again has the stub of the cigarette in his mouth.
You want to open a dimensional gate to bring something here. How are you going to activate the artifact?
How do you think? With the help of?
The white lady comes out of the elevator and goes straight to the interrogation room. Bera sees the white lady approaching with her butlers. The white lady stops in front of Bera, who blocks the door.
You can't go in there.
Thunder sits on the toilet seat and looks relieved. The white lady comes through the door of the interrogation room. O'Brien gets up directly and slaps his expensive-looking wristwatch with the palm of his hand. He transforms into Timeless immediately after that. Through small time distortions that flicker around him, red and blue elements fan out to surround and cover him. A short time later, he's wearing a sleek superhero costume. His formerly white eyes have now turned bright blue and seem alive again. But the White Lady raises her hand and everything stands still. No one, including Timeless, moves anymore and is frozen in motion. Normal movement can be seen near the White Lady. She touches Dr. Morden, who then moves again.
Come on, Doctor. We've wasted enough time.
The White Lady stops just in front of Timeless. She whispers something to him.
Forgive me.
The White Lady and Dr. Morden walk out of the interrogation room. Outside the interrogation room, everything remains frozen in a standstill. The White Lady reaches out and touches her 5 henchmen, the butlers, who promptly regain their ability to move. Among them is one who was moments away from being struck by Bear's axe. After the White Lady, Dr. Morden, and the butlers make their escape, they vanish into the elevator and its doors seal shut behind them. To be continued.